If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. So let's waste no time. To all of my critics out there, I told you that I was the peacefulest, most informative mediator of all time. My timing, my reading, my book lifting is down. So I tell you what, when I get about 100 years old, if you want to catch me, that's where you might get me. But till then, I'm the greatest of all time. And I want to tell you, let's get to it. Right now, let's get to the stories that made it in this week. Story number 1. Is an economic recovery possible? Whew. Business Insider reports that consumer confidence is up in hopes of an economic recovery, but the damage brought on by COVID-19 has already boxed a lot of high hopes and a major comeback in the corner. So let's see how this turns out as the fight continues. Yeah. New York City has seen a spike in business closures and a surge in bankruptcies, according to Bloomberg. Some business owners have just tried to adapt to the economic downfall brought on by COVID-19, and some are doing their best to stay afloat as they're hanging on, especially restaurants. Financial troubles loom for U.S. households hit by COVID-19. There have been numerous reports and headlines of people wishing and hoping for some economic relief soon, and then some can't even afford to put food on the table, let alone pay their rent. So they're hoping that something gets passed in Congress, some type of relief or something that comes through soon. There was one story I saw about Democrats trying to push a bill, but they don't think that it's going to make it through. So story number 1 doesn't look to be going anywhere anytime soon. Big headline, big developing news story. Story number 2, how are mothers and women doing during the pandemic? One headline by NPR says that mothers are reaching their breaking point, and some are doing everything they can to cope with their stressed out and active children. Women's health issues have become a big hot topic during the pandemic, especially across the world and here in America. There is even, I caught a headline about how they're even starting to have some activities for women in other countries to get them to cope with the stress. Some are even doing, I think, golf tournaments, if I was reading the report correctly. So story number 2, shout out to all the women out there. Hang in there. Hang on in there. Ooh. I haven't quit my day job yet. So story number 2, this doesn't big headline. Story number 3, American history is perceived differently depending on who you are. One city in South Carolina that used to be overrun by segregated blacks is apologizing to black residents for racial injustice due to the city's policies. It's another big story that centers in on the history of America and how some people are trying to not only make it better, but trying their best to not look towards the past, but look to the future. A week ago, the president pointed out how the left has made America the enemy because of its brutal history. Now, in his statements, a lot of Americans who understand how bad the history was back then for a lot of people see no substance in Donald Trump's statements. Even after a debate filled with issues about white supremacy and etc., Donald Trump is still defending the fact that he has never or is to this day been racist. So now, and this is in a time where America is trying to rebrand itself, and many see an opportunity to look towards history so certain events are not repeated. So we'll see how this all comes together, and that's why story number 3 is such a big headline, big developing story. That's why I made it in the video. Story number 4, there have been multiple headlines of spikes and increases in crime in the headlines. Violence. Now, in the move to shift $1.1 billion in funding from police, Minneapolis is already reporting a spike in crime rates. This is also happening in crime-riddled areas like New York City, Chicago, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Detroit, where negative attention have been focused on the police departments. Now, already in 2020, it is on record that this is one of the deadliest years since 1999. That's pretty bad. Guantanamo Bay made some headlines in one report focusing on the future of the prison. And not only that, but the prison system and what to do with prisoners in these prison systems, especially Guantanamo Bay, if they close. The report says that the prisoners have gotten worse over the years, and as this story continues to develop, many see no improvements coming anytime soon. Big developing story, especially when you look at leadership and what leadership can do to improve the situation. After an altercation resulting in an argument at a haunted house in Michigan, a man was fatally shot. These stories go on. An 11-year-old child and 3 others are dead in a hostage situation in Oregon. Now, just when you thought it stops, there's another one involving a young kid. A 15-year-old boy has been arrested in a drive-by shooting that killed 2 teens on a basketball court in New York City, adding a lot of fuel to the fact that a lot of violent stories have been in the news lately. Unrest in Portland due to riots and protests have led to numerous reports of violent acts and even the burning of the United States flag. In America, that's pretty bad. After a violent outcome due to the reaction in the Breonna Taylor case, Seattle police looked to make some staffing changes. Now, this is bad news. People may just be fed up and trying to get the attention of officials that they want change. But if I always say, if the families want peace, give them peace, especially when it comes to their relatives that they've lost. Give them time to heal. Well, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4 international headlines. So don't go anywhere. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. So let's waste no time. I read it, I got it. News, it comes, it shines, I got it. The news, it comes, it gleams, it shines, it pops, it glows. The news, I report it. I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it. Woo! Let's get to it. Story number 5. A lot of Americans still can't find work. One Pew Research says that the majority of Americans who lost their jobs still don't have one. This is bad news. This is becoming a huge concern for districts already in poverty. Poverty has been the centerpiece in multiple headlines this year, and some school districts have had to provide meals for students throughout the summer. Food banks have also seen an uptick in activity. Keep an eye on story number 5. That's why I made it in this week. Story number 6. What has COVID-19 done to the business climate? A new study shows that even though there have been a lot of business closures, business applications are up 19%. So people are still trying to open up for business. Entrepreneurs, that's good news. COVID-19 has crippled an already competitive and tough restaurant business. Now, this is as businesses continue to adapt, but it's good to see that some entrepreneurs are still trying to pursue the American dream. Always say, if you put a sign in the window, there's a high possibility that more signs will start coming up. So keep it coming, keep it going, keep lifting, keep doing it. Business is good. Story number 6 is good. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Whew, it's tough being the mediator, but somebody's got to do it. COVID-19 has dominated the news for 9 straight months. In less than 9 months, COVID-19 has crippled economies and killed more than 1 million people, and the hunt for a vaccine continues. There still seems to be no clear vision for a way to stop the spread, but a lot of people have used self-treatment and old remedies to overcome this virus. Vice President Pence says that we should expect COVID-19 coronavirus cases to rise in the days ahead. This projection still seems grim, as the projections period seem grim in the fight to defeat COVID-19. But some people have found a way to defeat it with a little bit of chicken noodle soup, organic orange juice, even if you want to use regular orange juice with the pulp. Some sinus medicine could do it, and maybe a hint of cough drops and hot tea, and a little bit of love, baby love, family love. Love heals all things. It makes things happen. Story number 8 in the top international headline, a developing news story that made it in this week. Grim projections in the political climate and the COVID-19 saga as it continues. It's not good. Now, there are just 3 months left in this year, and a lot of people are still adjusting to the wrath of COVID-19. There are even reports that thousands of students haven't been attending their online classes. This could be a problem for any future plans of growth, and there are still mixed feelings about how deadly this virus is after the majority of the people who have recovered still do not get reported compared to the people who have died. Now, as COVID-19 stories continue to dominate the headlines, it may be clear that the data may be a bit off. This is another big developing headline. Many are not pleased with the presidential debate as the politics, fighting, backbiting continues. It seems very clear that the political climate is in deep despair at the moment. Those looking for leadership are very concerned about the future when it comes to politics in America, and some have given up hope, period. But a lot of people are looking forward to this next election. Now, in the recent presidential debate may have made things worse when it comes to the political climate, but it give it time. Let's see how this turns out. There's still been a lot of productive news stories coming in, circulating, so we'll see how this turns out. Well, those are our top 8 international headlines and local headlines that made in this week. I hope you got something out of today's show. I always get something out of doing the research, and as usual, I want to thank all the news outlets and journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just a mediator. And if you want to show some support, you go to the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. It doesn't take much. I'm out of here. Go back, try to regroup, get my game plan ready for next week, read over 200 or more stories that keep you informed. That's always the goal. So have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is